Hi, my name is Brent Ziemann, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how muscle activation techniques has really changed my life. I've been an IT guy, software architect for about 20 years, so I spent an enormous amount of time sitting behind a keyboard. But during my 20 years, I've been with the company I've been with now for about 7. Back in 2010, the owner of my company had provided me the opportunity to go and meet Duke basketball's head basketball coach. He's been a hero of mine for years, and Coach K. And the time I got to spend with Coach K that summer, he encouraged me to come out to his coaching camp that he had in the early fall of 2010, which was wonderful. A few months after that, I was asked to be the head junior high basketball coach for Westlake Academy in Westlake, Texas, and I've been there for about 5 years now. I'm actually taking this season off for my muscle activation stuff, but I hope to pick it back up again next season. During my time at Westlake, our first season, we were 10-0 in district play. We were district champs. We went on to take 3rd place in a regional tournament. The next season, we were 9-1. We were co-district champs, and went on to win our first regional championship. The following year, we were 10-0 in district play, being district champs, and then we were undefeated in regional play, winning a back-to-back regional championship. The year after that, we were 10-0 district champs. We went in and finished 3rd in regional play. And then this past year, we were 8-2. We were 2nd place in district, and we went on to take 3rd place in the regional tournament. So we've had a lot of success, and a lot of the principles that Coach K and Chris Collins and Steve Ojahowski talked about while I was out at that coaches camp at Duke. I've taken to heart and tweaked some of them, so they've got kind of my Coach Z slant on them now. But those principles are lasting. During my time at Westlake, though, first couple of years, I liked to get out there and really, participate with the kids in practices and be really involved, and kind of lead by example. But as the years went on, I had some patellar knee pain that began to get just debilitating. I started putting on weight because I was less active, because it started to hurt a lot to even walk. So I had a procedure done on the left patellar tendon known as 10x1. And 10x1 is essentially a needle that oscillates about 10,000 times per second, and they do it underneath ultrasound. And underneath ultrasound, they can see the damaged tissue, and then they essentially, with the needle, they carve out the damaged tissue in that tendon. And so even after that, though, it was still extremely painful, man. And so I had a mom of one of the players that I had coached at Westlake refer me to a guy by the name of Ray Muniz, who was a muscle activation technique specialist out of Southlake, Texas. And so I went and I saw him. At this point, I didn't have anything to lose. I wanted that pain to end. So I went and saw Ray. And in one 55-minute session, I walked out of his office for the first time in years, 3 or 4 years, where I didn't have knee pain, just walking. And now it did come back 2 or 3 days later, but over the next 2.5 months, as I was seeing Ray once a week, and we were beginning to build the contractile efficiency of the muscles above the knee pain dissipated, and I don't have much knee pain today. But there are weeks where I'm extremely broken down, that I know, okay, here are the things that I need to do to get get some contractile efficiency back in the quad and in the hips and in the core. But over the years, as I've seen Ray, he's encouraged me to pursue, at least take a look at being a coach, getting involved in MAT at some level. So the first level I started with, he encouraged me to take the JumpStart course, which was amazing. Here I am, an IT guy. I have no background in human anatomy at all. So within the first 4 hours of that first day that Charlie was teaching, the guy, his name was Christopher, he was my table mate that weekend, and we had that break after 4 hours, and I owe him a debt of gratitude for encouraging me not to bail too soon. That yes, it's overwhelming. Yes, it's like drinking water out of a fire hydrant, but stay the course. It'll get easier. So I did. I stayed the course. I'm glad I did. It led to revolutionary changes in my life and my decisions on what I want to do going forward in life. But it all started with that JumpStart course. So now I'm enrolled in their MAT specialist course. I have 1 weekend left, and then I'll study a few months to take the specialist exam. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to immediately jump into some of the master's courses to get those underneath my belt, and ultimately get the invitation into their RX program, and really get after it. I've seen how powerful the JumpStart has been. I've seen how powerful the specialist program has been. I've had the 1 or 2 RX patterns done on me by my specialist instructor, Glenn, and they're extremely powerful. And they make life a little easier for those of us who maybe aren't athletes anymore. But getting the muscles to contract efficiently just to do life is huge. From a coaching perspective, one of the things that I would like to see going forward is to get MAT in front of parents of athletes, in front of athletes, because it's going to sustain them long term. Every year I have my junior high teams write down their goals and their dreams on their mirror in their bathroom at home. And the reason I do that is I want them to see it every day. Okay? And I want them to see and ask themselves a couple of questions. Right now, you can walk into my bathroom at my house. At the top of my mirror, it says MAT-RX. Okay? And just like my athletes, I ask myself 2 questions. In the morning while I'm brushing my teeth, it runs through my head, and I start asking questions. This particular question: what am I going to do today that's going to help me achieve that goal? And then at night, when I'm brushing my teeth and before I go to bed, you see it sitting up there, and ask yourself this question. It's kind of a litmus test for the day. What did I do today that put me on course to achieve that goal? Over the years, all of my players have heard me say things like, are the habits you have today on par for the goals and the dreams you have for tomorrow? Because if they're not, then we need to start changing some habits. I told you I was a Duke guy. In 2006, 2007, Duke put out a study that said 60% of every movement you take every day is done out of habit. So if you're trying to reach your goal, then you've got to start developing good habits now. That puts you on course to have success towards that goal. And so that, writing MAT-RX on my mirror was, kind of a reminder daily that am I cultivating and developing the habits that are going to help me achieve that? But as a coach going forward, I'd like to see more athletes and more MAT specialists involved in the sustaining and the training of young athletes. I have an 11-year-old son who's a lefty pitcher, and I have a daughter who's 5 who's a gymnast. They are on my table almost weekly, and that's because it's important that their neuromuscular system can contract and contract efficiently to maximize their performance, to speed recovery, to gain significant improvement over an athlete who's not doing MAT. And you've seen this, I think his name is Stephen Hess. He's a MAT guy for the Denver Nuggets. I know Greg Roscoff, the founder of Muscle Activation Techniques, he treats the Denver Broncos. And so you're beginning to see these people in significant areas of influence so that these athletes know and understand how the training and the weightlifting and the exercises that their sports put them through, how is their system handling that? It blows my mind that like my son plays tournament baseball, so it seems like every weekend we're always out at the baseball diamond. He plays first base, he's got a wicked good glove there, but he also pitches. He throws on the high end probably 60, on the average side 55 to 58. And if you were to see him, he's 4 foot, maybe 6, but he throws significantly harder than you would anticipate from a kid that small. And it's because his entire neuromuscular system is working, okay, to perform the actions he's asking his body to do, which is throw a baseball. And all the muscles are supporting the shoulder, supporting the elbow, which is very, very important to me. He wants to go play baseball at the college level. One of the things that, as a parent, as a coach, that I am concerned with is, hey, I don't want him on an operating table at age 13. So Dr. Andrews, who performs most, if not all, the Tommy John surgeries on professional athletes, put a book out a few years ago called The Athlete's Shoulder, and in there they began to do some tests on the UCL, which is the Tommy John ligament that ruptures. They realized it only takes 60 newtons of force to rupture that tendon out of a cadaver. But what they found in all of their research on the motion of throwing is the average force generation from the shoulder to the elbow when throwing a baseball is anywhere between 80 and 120 newtons. So that begs the question, how is this tendon not rupturing every time a ball is thrown? Well, then enter some things like Anconius, pronator teres. Then you've got some shoulder muscles that slow the shoulder down, and then you have shoulder muscles that create force generation up to 7,000 degrees per second for the release of the ball. So there's a lot of things that go into ensuring that an athlete can perform at a high level, but at the same time have stability through his full or her full range of motion. My daughter she's a gymnast, so there's all kinds of force being put on her. This week she's been complaining about her shoulder hurting. One of the things she started doing this week was a one-handed cartwheel. That's an enormous amount of tension and force put on a 5-year-old shoulder. And so there's pain there because there are muscles doing too much, and some muscles that can't contract at all. So making sure that I can get her on the table weekly and see how her gymnastics programs through the week are being tolerated by her neuromuscular system. And I think if we can get out in front of, as a parent and as a coach, the parents of athletes and these athletes while they're young, and expose them to muscle activation and how it can help them perform better, help them recover faster, help them see significant improvements overall. Give them some isometrics, or what we call PICs, to do daily to continue that reinforcement of the brain's or the central nervous system's ability to talk to the extrafusor muscle fiber so that it can contract, so that they're strong, not just when they walk out of the office, but they're sustaining that set point by pushing that set point higher to the maximum threshold that the muscle structure can handle, and they can sustain it through the week. And then when they come back and get on a table and go through some CAM assessment to find out where the limitations are, based on what they did the week prior, and then sniffing out some of the muscle weaknesses, and then getting those guys to come back to the party and again help them for the next week. And I've seen significant improvement with the people that I've practiced on, and the ones that I've treated with JumpStart have been phenomenal. One of the first kids that I treated, he was a catcher for the University of Southern Arkansas. He was the brother of one of my basketball players, and during the parents' meeting, I talked about muscle activation and stretching, and how the body sees that stretch as trauma, like rolling an ankle, and actually will turn off its ability to contract for up to an hour. And I would say that's in a good athlete. In my limited time frame, 10 months, I've seen it not come back at all, even after an hour. So there are a whole lot of variables that contribute to that, but so move away from stretching, move more to positional isoangular contractions to get these athletes ready and prepared for competition. But that catcher, his mom caught me and said, "Hey, he'll be home for Christmas. Do you mind, coming by the house and taking a look at him?" So I brought my table, came by their house. I just finished my JumpStart. I have my certification. It's actually that one there, for the JumpStart certification. And using just JumpStart, he couldn't get his arm higher than this. And so over the next, I would say about an hour and 20 minutes, he went from not being able to come here to having full range of motion and actually being able to throw a baseball with no pain. We're not chasing pain, but the byproduct of getting these muscles to contract a little more efficiently was the pain dissipated, which is great. He went back to school. He'd been back maybe 1 or 2 days. The athletic trainers there had him doing some over-the-head kettlebells, and the muscle structure began to break down. The kettlebells were too much for his neuromuscular system. So on a Sunday, they were supposed to have a game. It rained. He drove back 4 hours. I met him at his house. I treated him there, again using JumpStart, and he was back up here with no pain. So then he drove 4 hours back. So he spent 9.5 hours that day. 4 hours there, hour and a half me working with him, and then 4 hours back, because he saw the power of just the JumpStart. And now I've progressed through to, I have 1 class left in my specialist program, and then I'm gonna take the certification exam and get that out of the way. I'll immediately start taking the master's classes, as well, working towards my goal, which is to be a MATRX guy. And there's only about, I think, 52, maybe 54 of those worldwide right now. So it's a lifelong process. I'm 38 years old, no background at all in human anatomy. And in 10 months, I've come a long ways. It's phenomenal if you put time in every day and you're passionate about it, how much you can learn. What's even better is how many lives you can positively affect with muscle activation. So, if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, I would encourage you to at least take the JumpStarts. If you're in the Dallas area at the time, Glenn wasn't set up yet to teach the JumpStart program, but now it's available to take in Texas. I highly encourage you to do so. Don't be intimidated by it. Listen, if an IT guy with no background in human anatomy at all can be radically changed by it, it says a lot to the program. I had to take it in Austin. Charlie taught the first one, and then Eric taught the other two, along with Gene out there, who I actually took my certification test with. So I owe her a great bit of gratitude for taking time and allowing me to do that while I was out there. Ray Muniz, thank you. Your encouragement and to get involved, to see the benefits, and then understand that, hey, we can have a positive impact on people's lives using this tool, was greatly appreciated. Glenn, thanks again. He's been proctoring our course here in Plano that's been simulcast from headquarters in Denver. He's been great, been a huge source of encouragement to me.